When did you realize escaping your family was your only option? I was raised in a house where love always came with conditions. My parents had 4 daughters and 1 son, and from the time we were little, my brother was treated like he was some kind of future king, while we were treated like temporary guests in our own lives. He got a bedroom. We shared one. He got birthday parties. We got be grateful. If he broke something, we shouldn't distract him. If we made mistakes, we got reminded how expensive daughters were. But the weirdest rule in our house was this. Nobody talked about leaving. College out of state, selfish. Moving out before marriage, disrespectful. Travel, dangerous. Everything was framed as family values. But as I got older, I realized it wasn't protection. It was control. My mom wasn't cruel. She just looked exhausted all the time, like somebody who had stopped expecting life to change. One night when I was 17, I asked her quietly if she ever wanted to leave. She stared at me for a second and said something I never forgot. Don't become me. That was it. No speech, no explanation, just that. So I started planning secretly. I got a part-time job at a craft store and told everyone I was staying after school for clubs. I opened my own bank account the day I turned 18. I applied to colleges without telling anyone. Then one afternoon I got accepted to a university 8 hours away. I should have been excited. Instead I felt sick because I knew telling my family meant war. When I finally showed my dad the acceptance letter, he laughed. Then he tore it in half. He told me I wasn't moving anywhere. Said girls who leave families come crawling back broken. My brother actually nodded along. That night my parents took my car keys, changed the Wi-Fi password, and said if I wanted independence, I could pay for everything myself. So I did. For 3 months I worked every shift I could. My manager noticed something was wrong and started giving me extra hours. One of my coworkers, I'll call her Ava, became my excuse to stay out longer. Eventually she figured out what was happening. One day she asked me a question nobody had asked before. If nobody gave you permission, what would you do? I said leave. She said then leave. No dramatic speech. No movie moment. Just leave. 2 weeks later my acceptance office called. They still had my documents. I still had a spot. So at 5:30 in the morning, I packed 2 bags, left a note for my mom, turned off my phone and got on a bus. I spent the first hour expecting sirens. Nobody came. I moved into student housing, worked, studied, learned stupid little things normal people already knew, like buying groceries without guilt and sitting in silence without waiting for someone to yell. Then 6 months later, my mom called. First time ever. I thought she'd tell me to come home. Instead, she said, I left. Turns out after I disappeared, something changed. My younger sisters started asking questions. My mom realized she'd spent 20 years surviving instead of living. She got an apartment, got a job. My sisters moved in with her. Even my brother eventually apologized and admitted he'd been raised to think control meant responsibility. Last Thanksgiving, we all met at my mom's tiny apartment. Nothing fancy, paper plates, store-bought pie, people talking over each other, and halfway through dinner, my mom looked around and started crying. She said, this is the first family meal I've ever enjoyed. That's when I realized I didn't escape my family. I escaped the version of family we were taught to accept.